So if you wanted demon-like power in your Hellcat or Hellcat Red-Eye without voiding your warranty, Dodge may have discovered a way to do that for owners. And we're going to talk about it in this episode of ModStars. What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Z. Welcome back to another episode of ModStars. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for when we come out with new videos. And today we're going to talk about the Mopar Direct Connection Program. Now, what's great about this is that they have something for pretty much any Dodge out there, all the way up to crazy things like, crate motors from the 5.7 Hemi to the Elephant engine, NHRA spec, chassis for the drag pack Challenger, the engines for it, all that. Even cold air intakes, 50-state components for, cars we haven't seen in a long time, like the SRT4s, Durangos, things of that nature. But what I wanted to highlight specifically today is the upgrades, the factory-backed upgrades that they have for the Hellcat and the Hellcat Red-Eye. Just to be clear, now this is for the 2019 and newer Hellcat and Hellcat Red-Eye. If you have an older one, don't worry. There's some components in here that you guys can use, and there's some creativity that you guys can be inspired from to even still do with your cars, whether it's specifically through the Mopar Direct Connection Program. And I'll also make a separate video for the Hellcat fans about what can be done with your cars that could still even be 50-state compliant. It may not like hold the warranty if you still have one, but you can have your cake and eat it too. So I'll make a separate video for that. But for now, we're going to talk about the 2019 and newer Hellcat Red-Eye through this. Let's go. Now, the Direct Connection Program started back in like 1970, and pretty much like anything else, they had parts for enthusiasts at the time. And what made, muscle car drag racing era so great, or just the American muscle car era so great, is that with drag racing and NASCAR, the cars that they used are the cars you owned. And you can even get the components that they use in the sports for your car, go to the track, have fun, and go home and buy groceries with it. I mean, that's what made it so fun, is that you can have enthusiasts in the sport that can experience such a great thing that's affordable. And that's really hard to do nowadays with motorsports, period. You have NASCARs now. You could probably do it with NASCAR. I think that's also what makes drifting such a great motorsport, for that reason. Maybe some track day stuff like grid life and things like that. But past that point, and depending on where you are in the country, if you don't have an American car, where the aftermarket is so supported in every state, then you might run into some challenges. You might have to do things a little bit different. So I think that's why, American muscle cars, even modern ones, have such a big following and support this very day. From 71 to 74, 74 was actually when the Mopar Direct Connection Program began. And from that point, they created this catalog up to the 80s that was referred to as the Bible by enthusiasts. It's literally their go-to book that they checked out. Anything they need, they could find it there. Now, from 80 to 86 is when we started having four-cylinder turbo applications come in, like, the Plymouth Laser, which, if you guys don't know, was basically an Equal Talon or an Eclipse, which was the predecessor of the Mitsubishi Evo. You had cars like that coming in the mix, and you see what can be done with them now, and the potential they had back then. They must have been very competitive. From 86 up to at least last year is when the program was renamed as Mopar Performance. Now, this is a very exciting time to bring this back, especially, again, I keep talking about the Hellcat stuff, and I'm just going to stop dancing around this, beating around the bush, and get right to it. So what's cool about the Hellcat stages, or perhaps the pre-stage, according to the catalog, pre-stage is about $1,195. It comes with the Direct Connection Tuner, which is basically like this module that's touchscreen. You can upload your tunes, clear codes, get live updates, and change the layout of certain things, customize it a little bit. Pre-stage for the Hellcat has the air filter as well with the tuner and 180-degree thermostat and a factory tune that bumps the power up to 722 horsepower and 656 foot-pounds of torque. Now, I'm just kind of curious, with that, because it's a factory tune and all this stuff is, factory backed and legal, does that mean that your car's still stock? Let me know what you guys think. I mean, if that's the case, there's a negative stereotype going out there that Hellcat owners lie about their power numbers. But if that's true and Dodge caught wind of that and they brought this back, now they're saying, hey, well, we're going to end that stereotype today. We don't have to do that anymore. Well, you never had to do it to begin with, but you know how people are when, you want to brag and look cool and get respect or whatever. But, I digress. But let me know what you guys think. Even after all this stuff I'm going to discuss here, all of it being, warranty backed or 50 state legal or both, when you do this, is your Hellcat still considered to be stock? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, the stage 1 components for the Hellcat bumps it up from the 722 from the factory tune for the pre-stage to 757 horsepower and 696 foot-pounds of torque, and that goes for about $895. So think of it kind of like you pay for, at that point, you pretty much pay for the tune and the calibrations even to run the higher octane. Now, for the red eye, pretty much the same price as the pre-stage, but the factory tune bumps the red eye power up to 802 horsepower. Sorry, I don't have the torque numbers at this time, but I'm sure you guys can find them. And that's with the high octane function. We're looking at approximately 840 horsepower and 710 foot-pounds of torque. And that's calibration is $395. Now the stage 2 is basically the elephant pulley and a key code to run the higher power and higher octane function included with that will bring the power up from 840 horsepower to 885 horsepower and 787 foot-pounds of torque. Which is insane. Now, going back to the Hellcat platform, now there is an option to get the red eye heads. I guess they rev up to like 6,500 RPM. Those are going for, according to the catalog specifically, $2,595. I'm sure prices might change due to taxes and labor and things of that nature, but on paper, that's what that is. And then you could also upgrade the pistons and rods from the red eye for about $3,195 as well. Now, they claim that this is also rated for 840 horsepower with these components. Now, you might be wondering at this point, well, if that's the case, can I get these components and get the calibration for the red eye specifically for my Hellcat? And the answer to that question is maybe. On paper, they're only advertising what they could do on paper and the stage kits for simplicity's sake and convenience. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't swap things from the two platforms. I mean, I like to think they're similar in so many ways. And that's what makes things exciting. It's kind of like, BMWs, and they have like the standard BMW, and then they have the M or the M Sport, and then there's the M. It's like, can you swap things from the two and still get the same results? And the answer to that is, yeah, possibly, maybe. Just because it's not as popular to do doesn't mean it can't be done. So that's something to think about. Now, at that point, does that mean you would void warranty? Possibly. But the parts are all 50 state legal. So including the heads and the rods, because they're technically, stock components, hardware from the red eye. I don't see a problem in that. So of course you'd have to ask somebody about it. And if you wanted to do it and think about it, that's a good way to go, to have a motor that's built with the convenience of knowing where your parts are coming from. You don't have to wait so long to get them. And you have some place that can install them. Of course, this stuff has to be installed by qualified dealerships, but and techs, of course. But I mean, like, it really makes modifying or building a car a lot more convenient, especially now with the COVID era where you got to wait for weeks at a time because of shortages and everything like that. So, going back to the early model Hellcats, I forgot to mention this. You can use the red-eye torque converter for the automatic Hellcats, the diff upgrade as well, and the drive shaft. Now, the drive shaft is rated for 770 foot-pounds of torque, which can come in handy. We've seen so many videos of drive shafts breaking, slow-mos of Hellcats at the drag strip, or even differentials breaking as well, whether that be the support braces or bushings or some hardware that wasn't really there. You have to get aftermarket. Also, the diff assembly or the final drive for the red eye can be fitted too. Now, it goes from a 2.62 to 1 ratio to a 3.09. Now, in my opinion, anybody who has a Mopar, whether it be a Challenger, Charger, Chrysler 300, and you want to have something with a bit more response or even track it every now and then, the first mod I would highly recommend doing is the diff upgrade, the diff swap to the 309. It's a lot more responsive and it's relatively affordable. It's relatively cheap depending on where you get it from. So it's something that I highly, highly, highly recommend. And what's cool about some cars like Scat Packs, for example, a lot of these components already came with the car from the factory. So you're good to go. Anybody who has a base model, do your homework, confirm that, and you got options. Yeah, at that point, you have price options. So it's brilliant. Now, I'm going to start discussing pretty soon, dream builds and build ideas for cars. Maybe somebody who has a certain vehicle that never thought about it, or maybe they wanted to buy something else and go from there. So I will tell you right now what I would do with a Hellcat. So especially if I had like a 2015, 2016 Hellcat, whether it's that, red eye, doesn't matter, but specifically one of those, I would get the car and just learn how to drive it. From then on, I would do the diff upgrade to 309. I would keep the factory tire or a tire I can use every day. And when I go to the track, I'd play with the air pressure to see how good the car hooks and what my best times are. I would do that for a while. From there, once I can get consistent with times, even a personal best, I would get the zero camber knuckles to see if they actually make much of a difference. And what the knuckles are supposed to do is help with the contact patch or the tires to the track so you have better traction. Because as we know, spinning ain't winning, right? I'd also get the strut braces for the front and rear to make the car more stable. And the front fascia, where you take out, the fog lights and have the two basically like snorkels, to ram all the air in there, which is supposed to improve, airflow for the intake and cooling overall. And it just looks good. So the zero camber knuckles specifically are $695. The tire braces for the shaker style for the fronts are $425 and the rear is $525. And the front fascia is $1,995. Now, that's not bad at all. But I think that would help specifically improve a platform that's very popular and has a lot of potential. And by improve, I simply mean that. Improve it for what it was made for. I'd also make it a little bit more of a complete vehicle, something you can drive every day and performs at its best in pretty much any situation, any environment, whether you're on the road, going on a road trip through canyons, autocrossing, road course, or a drag strip. To make it a more complete vehicle versus a one-trick pony, so to speak. And I'm not saying that they're one-trick ponies. I'm just saying that, manufacturers can only do so much. And as the saying goes, if engineers were in charge of making decisions, the car would never exist or nothing would ever come out, because something can always be done, something can always be changed, improved, or done differently. So just to be very, very clear, the Hellcat platform, it's very solid. It's very, very impressive. But I think it's just these little things, along with, driving technique and driving skill, that'll make it that much better and that much more consistent. Of course, after that, if I got tired or when I get bored of the power, or, you know, there's a neighborhood rival that thinks that, you know, they're the quickest or whatever. You know, they have those people that are, you know, feel high and mighty. Yeah, at that point, I would turn up the power and get a bit more competitive, and then put, you know, the drag kit on, or maybe I just put the drag kit on first and see if I can run better times. From my understanding, stock Hellcats with drag packs run mid-10s, and that was before the Red Eye came out. So I imagine, let's say theoretically, this car runs consistently low 11s, 11.2, 11.1 with a drag pack. It'll run the mid-10s easy. And past that point, again, crank up the power and you can have fun. So it's only gonna get quicker from there. It might be low 10s to early 9s, or late 9s, sorry. Who knows? The possibilities in this are endless, and it's just like you can pretty much have a built car that's legal across the entire country and warranty backed. So let me know what you guys think. Hope you enjoyed the video. Comment what you guys would do if you have a Hellcat or a Red Eye, and if you do, let us know what you would do, what you think. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.